All right, so we are back with another video again today, and in this video what I'm doing is I'm giving you all a top 15 list of some of the best inspirations that money can buy. All right, and really these fragrances that I have on this list, I feel like when you compare these fragrances to the original, at least for most of them anyway, most of them are so close to the original that I really don't think that most people would be able to tell the difference. Maybe one or two of these fragrances have like a slight sort of twist on the original scent profile that I actually prefer over the original, and that's why they're on the list. But for the most part, most of these fragrances, they do come, I mean, they're like almost identical to the original fragrance, you know, in terms of quality, in terms of really just everything when it comes to the fragrance. All right. So just to get the list started, I'm going to start off with Jasoor from Lattafa. And this is Lattafa's take on Valentino's Born in Roma Choral Fantasy. All right. So this is a really nice sort of sweet red apple fragrance. In the opening, you get a lot of red apple, a lot of lavender. You get tobacco with this fragrance as well, which is one of the main things that you get. This is just a really sort of well done, in my opinion, more kind of like date fragrance, more kind of like going out. That's more sort of the occasions that I feel like you would wear this fragrance in. It's not really like a super high scale or like dressed up sort of fragrance. It's definitely going to be more on the casual side to me. But this is definitely the fragrance that you would want to wear if you're going to the club, to a bar, if you're going out on a date or something like that, and you really want to be noticed. You know, this is a very mass appealing type of smell. And I mean, it is almost identical to the original fragrance. All right. The original fragrance for 100 ml goes for like around, I want to say a little bit over $100 or so, or just under it. Whereas this one goes for about $30 for 100 ml. So definitely, man, I do think that this is worth picking up, especially if you do like that Born in Roma Choral Fantasy scent profile. And again, this is Jasoor from Lattafa. All right, next one is from French Avenue, and this is their take on Encens Suave from Matière Première, and this is Spicy Amber. All right, so if you're not familiar with Encens Suave, it's kind of like the same sort of fragrance as like what Baby Cat is, but I would say take most of the vanilla out of Baby Cat and actually add in more incense, a more sort of realistic smelling incense anyway. And that's for the most part what you get with this. This is very incense heavy, and it does have enough of that vanilla in the fragrance to make it to where it's just not pure smoke. And it does have a very sort of, you know, kind of peppery, spicy opening to it as well. But this one, you know, compared to the Encens Suave, this was like pretty much identical for the most part to that fragrance. You know, both in terms of smell as well as the performance. Both fragrances perform extremely well, you know, at least, 8 to 12 plus hours. So you are going to get plenty of performance out of both. But yeah, man, this one is going to be for someone that really likes smoky, incensey types of fragrances, but maybe something like the Baby Cat or Rafaqat sort of scent profile, maybe that fragrance is a little bit too sweet for you. Then I think that this would be a little bit more along, you know, what you would enjoy. All right. So again, this one is Spicy Amber from French Avenue. All right, another one from French Avenue is Lumière Elle, and this is their take on Louis Vuitton's Stellar Times. And I mean, this one, it smelled extremely close to Stellar Times when I first got it, but as this fragrance has maturated, this has become like identical for the most part to Stellar Times. Stellar Times, you could say when you smell this, you know, side by side with it, Stellar Times is slightly more kind of sparkly, and, you know, it has a slightly more kind of concentrated smell to it. I feel like most of that comes from the fact that Stellar Times is an extrait de parfum and this is an eau de parfum. So you can kind of expect the smell to be slightly different. But I mean, for the most part, this does smell, I mean, as close as can be to Stellar Times. So this is just a really nice kind of floral amber. And you do get, you know, some freshness up top from some citruses as well. It smells kind of like you're getting like mandarin orange and maybe some bergamot up top. But just a really sort of fresh, citrusy, floral amber type of fragrance. It does definitely lean feminine. It is marketed as a unisex fragrance, but it is definitely more on like the feminine side, in my opinion. And it definitely is like a really rich, upscale, high class smelling, you know, feminine fragrance, in my opinion. So definitely I would recommend this to a woman that is going out to a special event, or, you know, that's really dressed up. This is one of those fragrances that I think that you would want to reach for, and you would absolutely smell amazing. All right. Performance on this is also very good as well. You're going to get at least about 8 to 10 hours or so of total longevity. The original from Louis Vuitton does perform better, both in terms of projection and longevity, but the Louis Vuitton is over $500 and this fragrance goes for about $50. So the Louis Vuitton is it's over 10 times more than what this costs. And this comes, I mean, within at least probably 97, 96% of the Louis Vuitton. So this is definitely worth it, in my opinion. Again, this is Lumière Elle from French Avenue. All right, so we have another one yet again from French Avenue. This time, this is Aether Extrait. This is their take on Parfums de Marly's Greenly. And this it's a better performing version of Greenly for sure. And it also, to me, smells pretty identical to Greenly. I really didn't pick out too many differences between this and Greenly really at all. Other than the fact that this just smelled a little bit more on sort of like the concentrated side, which this, according to the name, is supposed to be an extrait. Even though the sticker at the bottom of the fragrance says Eau de Parfum. So I don't really know exactly what to take out of that. But this does smell like a stronger, more concentrated version of Greenly. All right. So it does smell like it is like a extrait de parfum. It also does give you very good performance as well. So I've been easily getting, you know, 8 to 10 hours or so, or more even sometimes, with wearing this fragrance each time that I've worn it. It's not going to be the most, you know, beast mode projecting fragrance. It's one of those fragrances that just kind of lingers on you. And it's a really nice, refreshing, you know, sort of green apple sort of smell with woods for the most part. Woods and kind of like, you know, like in Broxton, I would say, and musk. That's for the most part what you get with this fragrance. It's not going to be the most, you know, revolutionary fragrance that you've smelled, but it is very pleasant. And it's definitely perfect for warmer weather. All right. So I would absolutely pick this one up over Greenly because, again, it does perform a lot better than Greenly. Greenly lasted on me like around 4.5 to maybe at the most about 6 hours or so. So not really that long. So definitely, again, I would say check out Aether Extrait from French Avenue. All right, next on the list is from Lattafa. This is from their Lattafa Pride collection, and this is Vintage Radio from Lattafa. So this is going to be Lattafa's take on Initio's Paragon. To me, this comes off as slightly less medicinal and herbal than what Paragon does, which I actually prefer a little bit more. And it to me, it has a little bit more spice to it. I don't know if it's like cinnamon or something like that. That's sort of what it smells like to me. It's kind of like if you took Paragon, maybe dialed up the plum a little bit more than what it is in Paragon, and added kind of like some cinnamon to it. That's for the most part what I'm getting with this fragrance. So, you know, Paragon is like this really refreshing, relaxing, you know, kind of plum fragrance. Palo Santo is in the fragrance as well. I think you get like some lavender in the fragrance and sandalwood. It's just a really, really refreshing, calming, sort of fragrance. And this, to me, I mean, it comes extremely close to the original. Like I said, just with that slight sort of twist to the original scent profile. But to me, this kind of makes it slightly more kind of masculine leaning than what the original is. The original is definitely unisex, but I think that Vintage Radio, it kind of leans the scent profile slightly more in the masculine direction. All right. This also performs really good as well. I easily get over 12 hours every time I wear this fragrance, and the projection on it is very good as well. All right. So definitely check out Vintage Radio, again, from Lattafa. All right, so another one from Lattafa. This is Lattafa's Afkaar. All right, so Lattafa Afkaar, this fragrance is their take on Mancera's Instant Crush. And this is, again, another one of those extremely close fragrances, to the original. I would say really the only difference that I get between this and the original Instant Crush is in the immediate opening, you get a slightly heavier emphasis on Mandarin Orange than what you get in Mancera. But other than that, I mean, this is basically the same fragrance for the most part. And the other thing is this also projects a little bit better, a little bit louder than what you get with the original Mancera. And, pretty much with the Mancera Instant Crush scent profile, it's like in the same family of Baccarat Rouge 540. So it definitely has that same type of smell to it, except this does not have like that sort of, it doesn't have the same kind of like burnt sugar sort of smell that you get from, Baccarat Rouge 540. This is definitely a more slightly kind of fruitier sort of take on the scent profile. And to me, it's a little bit more airier and light. The Baccarat Rouge 540 to me is definitely going to be a lot heavier than what this is, but they do smell extremely similar. And I prefer, this over the original for sure. Like I said, I do like that extra sort of, emphasis on the Mandarin Orange when you first spray it on. And, again, this does perform slightly better than the Mancera. Now, longevity wise, they're about the same. You are going to easily get over 12 hours with both of these. But like I said, the projection on this is just slightly better. And again, this is Lattafa's Afkaar. Next one on the list, this is another Louis Vuitton inspired fragrance. This is Alexandria Fragrance's Orchestra. All right. So this is their take on Louis Vuitton Symphony. And this is like 95% close pretty much to Symphony. Symphony does have a slightly more kind of fizzy and sparkly sort of nature to it. So it does come off as a little bit more richer. But I mean, the differences are extremely minimal. It's something that you would only be able to tell by, kind of wearing each one side by side on your skin and going back and forth and really, nitpicking the sort of differences between the two fragrances. But in the air, these two smell identical. And I mean, basically what this is it's just like a citrus bomb, like a really fruity sort of citrus bomb that you get from this fragrance. A lot of Mandarin Orange, a lot of bergamot, a lot of ginger from this fragrance. Just a really sparkly, citrusy, fresh style fragrance, man. Extremely unisex for sure. And it doesn't come off exactly the same as, most other sort of citrusy style fragrances. This does have like some body and some strength to it. So it's definitely a fragrance that, you can overspray and it can become cloying if you do that. So I kind of go maybe around 4 to 5 sprays of this. And same thing really with the original fragrance as well. And that's about all I really need. I think once you kind of start getting into like the 8 to 10 sprays with the fragrance, it is louder than I think what a lot of people would think it would be based on that initial sort of spray of the fragrance. it has a sort of, you know, strength and body to it that, like I said, most sort of citrusy style fragrances like this don't typically have. They're normally a lot more kind of transparent and light, whereas this one definitely has you know, some density to it. All right, so if you like really fresh, citrusy, rich, you know, style fragrances that have that, you know, kind of freshness to them as well, then I definitely recommend picking up Orchestra for sure. All right, from Alexandria Fragrances. All right, next one on the list is a inspired fragrance of a discontinued fragrance. So this is Pandora Scents Milano Prive. Pandora Scents is basically a part of Paris Corner, and this is their take on 1 Million Prive from Paco Rabanne. Basically identical to the original scent. I really didn't pick up on many differences at all between this and 1 Million Prive. And this is just like, it's a citrusy sort of tobacco scent. You get, you know, I think it's like blood orange that you get in the immediate opening of this fragrance. Smells really amazing. It has, you know, kind of like this fresh, but yet at the same time, slightly kind of tart sort of feel to it. So you get that. You get, like I said, the tobacco in the dry down as well. Some vanillic touches, also tonka bean. Just overall, man, just a really sexy, I would say more kind of nighttime style fragrance. Also, I really love the way that I believe there's cinnamon in this fragrance as well. Just a really nice fragrance, man, to wear at night. I would say this is also going to be, you would wear this in the same occasions that you would wear something like Lattafa's Jasoor. So if you're going out to the club, to a bar, date night, you know, situations like that, I think would be really fitting for a fragrance like this, man. It's really, really amazing fragrance. All right. So again, definitely check out Milano Prive from Pandora Scents. This also gives you really good performance as well. The longevity on this is going to easily be over 8 hours. And the projection is, from what I could tell, was about the same pretty much as what you get with 1 Million Prive. So, you know, you are going to get, you know, pretty good projection, at least about an arm's length or so for like the first, you know, let's say hour and a half or so. And then, like I said, the longevity is easily over 8 hours with this. So again, check out Pandora Scents Milano Prive. All right, next one on the list is from French Avenue, and this is French Avenue's Azzure Aoud. This is their take on Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli. All right, so this is just a really wearable, in my opinion, sort of oud, rose, and fruity sort of, you know, fragrance. I don't typically, you know, reach for oud style fragrances like that, but this is a really good one, man. You get a blast of, you know, passion fruit and other sort of fruits in the top notes. And then it basically kind of dries down to this oud, rose, and kind of slightly leathery sort of feeling fragrance. Definitely is a grown man, more mature style fragrance for sure. And I wouldn't even say grown man, because this is a unisex fragrance for sure. So this is definitely a grown person style fragrance. You know, that I would say is really kind of more so for like 30 and up for the most part. This does come extremely close to the original. The original does have slightly better quality, especially when it comes to how the fruits come across in the opening, from what I can tell. But I mean, this is like at least 95+% close to the original, for, I mean, just a fraction of the cost of what the original cost. So the performance on this is also very good as well. Slightly less on the projection than what you get from Oud Maracuja, which is what this is inspired by. But the longevity is very good on this. I easily get over 12 hours. So again, this is going to be Azzure Aoud from French Avenue. Next one is another from the French Avenue line, and this is Liquid Brun. This is their take on Parfums de Marly's Altair. So this is extremely close to Altair from what I can tell. Just a really, really nice, you know, citrus, like a fresh citrus opening up top that you get from bergamot. and then it turns into this really spicy, vanillic, sort of sweet style fragrance. Not so sweet to where it's like feminine. This is definitely a unisex type of fragrance. But if you do have to like vanilla, and you do have to like sweeter, style fragrances. This does have, to me, like a airiness to it about it, to where it doesn't become super cloying or super thick. So I do like that a lot about this fragrance. But this is a really, really amazing, interpretation of Parfums de Marly's Altair. I mean, almost identical for the most part. Like I said, the main differences that I really pick up on are in the opening. After that, I mean, they smell identical for the most part, from what I can tell. So, again, performance on this, very good. You're going to get easily, 10 to 12 plus hours with this. And the projection on it is basically, it's the same that I get with the Altair. So, at least about an arm's length or so for like the first hour and a half, 2 hours. So again, man, definitely if you're looking for a really good interpretation of Altair, check out French Avenue's Liquid Brun. All right, next one is yet another from French Avenue. This is their take on Angel Share by Kilian, and this is Royal Blend. So Royal Blend so far is the best by Kilian's Angel Share interpretation that I've smelled, by far. This gets that, really nice cognac opening down in the opening, the really boozy sort of cognac that you get. It has that sort of apple cinnamon sort of smell that you get. A lot of people like to say that, this kind of smells like apple pie. You get that in this fragrance. And then in the dry down, you get that sort of aged, oak barrel smell that you get from the by Kilian as well. This also projects a little bit better than what Angel Share does, at least on my skin anyway. So you get really good projection for about probably the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And then in terms of longevity, this easily lasts on my skin over, I would say, 10 to 12 hours. So really, really impressed with this fragrance, man. I would definitely say this is the better value over Angel Share for sure. So if you can find this, I know that this has been sold out recently. Definitely pick this one up. Again, this is Royal Blend from French Avenue. All right, next on the list, this is from Paris Corner, and this is their sort of twist on Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim, and this is Quatre from Paris Corner. So this is part of their Nordstad collection, and this is actually the fragrance that I'm wearing today, man. This is a very, very good interpretation of Afternoon Swim. It is going to be sweeter than Afternoon Swim. You are going to get a lot more mandarin orange than what you get with Afternoon Swim. And to me, this doesn't come off as musky and as ambroxan heavy as what you get with Afternoon Swim. So it is going to be a little bit more denser, slightly more, I guess you could say, syrupy when it comes to how it comes off, compared to the Louis Vuitton. But this is a very good interpretation. The quality is definitely there for this fragrance for sure. So it doesn't smell cheap in any sort of way, even though it is slightly sweeter. But for the most part, you do get the same sort of experience with this fragrance that you get with Afternoon Swim. As a matter of fact, I mean, I would say the experience is a little bit better with this because it actually lasts longer than Afternoon Swim does. So Afternoon Swim on my skin is like around maybe a 4.5 hour, 5 hours maximum, I would say, fragrance, whereas this is easily a 8+ hour fragrance on my skin every time. So really, really good, performance with this fragrance, good quality as well. And I mean, it's basically, it's like I said, it's going to be mandarin orange, some other citruses like bergamot. You're getting a slightly kind of zingy, sort of gingery type of smell from this as well. And then you are getting, a kind of musky sort of smell to it as well, just like you get with Afternoon Swim, but just not nearly as much as what you get with Afternoon Swim. All right. So definitely, again, check this out if you're a fan of Afternoon Swim and you're looking for a slight sort of twist on that scent profile. check out Paris Corners Norstad Quattro. All right, the next one on the list, this is from Joe Milano, and this is part of their Game of Spades line. This is Joe Milano's Game of Spades Wildcard. This fragrance is, so far, I think I can say the best Joe Milano Game of Spades fragrance that I've smelled, especially with how close it comes to the original. This is like identical to the original, which is Bond Number 9 Lafayette Street. And this actually gives you better performance as well. So the projection on this is going to be slightly better than the Bond Number 9, and the performance is definitely going to be better than the Bond Number 9. So this is going to be like, you know, easily like a 8 to 10 plus hour fragrance for sure. And in terms of the projection, it's at least double the projection than, you know, what I get with the Bond Number 9. Also, you're getting that extra performance without sacrificing any sort of quality at all. This to me smells of the exact same quality for the most part that you get with the Bond Number 9. I think, I mean, there were maybe some slight sort of, you know, differences at certain points in times where I feel like the florals in the Bond Number 9 may have been, you know, like slightly better, maybe 1 or 2%. But I mean, it's extremely minimal, and it's something that I think you would only be able to tell by smelling the two side by side and, you know, up close and not in the air. So definitely, again, man, check out Game of Spades Wildcard from Joe Milano. All right, next one is from Fragrance World. This is Tobacco Myth. This is going to be their take on Carolina Herrera's Mystery Tobacco. Extremely close interpretation of Mystery Tobacco. Definitely better than the Maison Alhambra version. The, what is it? Tobacco. I can't remember exactly what the name of that fragrance is, but the Maison Alhambra one is definitely the more popular one. It is also the one that is typically more readily available. This version seems to always be, you know, kind of sold out everywhere you look for it. But if you can actually get your hands on this, I would absolutely say pick this up, because it does come a lot closer to the Carolina Herrera than what the Maison Alhambra does in terms of the quality. So this is definitely going to be way smoother than the Maison Alhambra, and just overall, just accuracy wise, this is just better than the Maison Alhambra is, you know, to the original fragrance. This is going to be kind of in that same family of fragrances like Carlisle and, you know, Red Tobacco. The Mystery Tobacco fragrance to me is definitely the most smoothest out of all of those, and, you know, the most, in my opinion, the most enjoyable one. And this definitely, it replicates that, you know, really, really good, man. It's not going to be as smooth as what the original fragrance is, the original Carolina Herrera. So like when you smell this, you know, side by side to the Carolina Herrera, you are going to notice some differences. But I will say though, this is extremely good, man. So I definitely recommend picking this one up. And again, this also gives you very good performance as well. Projection on this is going to be extremely good for, I would say, about the first, you know, 2 hours or so. And then in terms of like the longevity, this is easily going to be, you know, over, you know, 10 to 12 hours for sure. All right, so definitely check out Tobacco Myth from Fragrance World. All right, and then the last one on the list, this is another one from Joe Milano. This is again a part of their Game of Spades line, and this is Joe Milano's Game of Spades Full House. So Game of Spades Full House, this is Joe Milano's take on Louis Vuitton's Imagination. All right, so just a really, really good inspiration of that fragrance. So far, I would say this is easily the closest one that I've smelled out of all the, you know, Louis Vuitton inspired Imagination fragrances. This is definitely the best one. Now, this is going to be the most expensive out of all of the ones that you can get your hands on, with the exception of like the Alexandria version. But yeah, this one for 100 ml goes for like around $70 to $75. But I do think that you can absolutely you do get the best sort of quality and smell out of this one when compared to all of the others. So this, to me, it comes off as just ever so slightly sweeter than what the Louis Vuitton does. And it does have a slightly heavier emphasis on like the ambroxan and musk. But overall, just kind of going through all of the stages of the fragrance of, you know, imagination, this to me comes the closest in all stages of the fragrance, you know, than what any other inspiration of Louis Vuitton's imagination that I've smelled. This also, the performance on this is also better than imagination as well. So in terms of the projection, you are going to get about double the projection than what you get with imagination. And then in terms of the longevity, it is going to be about the same for me than, you know, as what I get with imagination. So I easily get over 12 hours with imagination. Same thing with this. So I mean, for a fresh fragrance that is extremely good, and just, I mean, overall, if you're a fan of this scent profile imagination from Louis Vuitton, but you don't have, you know, the $300+ that you know, the Louis Vuitton costs, I would absolutely recommend picking this fragrance up, because it is for the most part going to give you the exact same experience for just a fraction of the cost, man. So again, definitely check out Game of Spades Full House from Joe Milano. All right, and so that is the list, man. That is my list of top 15 inspirations that money can buy right now, at least that I have in my collection. I do apologize for the background noise. There's landscapers out here in the apartment complex, so it's nothing really that I can do about that. So I do apologize. But I did need to, you know, kind of get this video out of the way right now so that I can get this out to you all this week. All right, so definitely, man, let me know in the comments what you all think about all of these fragrances on the list. Do you agree with my assessments of these fragrances? Also, if you are interested in purchasing any of these fragrances, I will have links in the description to where you can purchase all of these fragrances. So definitely check those out. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.